Hello, welcome to BU 302, Leadership in Organizational Behavior, Week 7, Lecture 2. Week 7 is the final week of presentation. Everything that you have learned thus far from weeks 1 through 6 leads to this point. We have discussed attitudes, behaviors, perceptions, culture, decision-making, communications, leaders versus managers, power, empowerment. All of these, all of these things, all of these ideals, all of these terms that we've discussed in these last few lessons are found with under the umbrella of organizational design and structure. This is where all of the activities within an organization is housed. Now, interestingly, as we would traditionally view the organization is a brick and mortar, if you will, structure, meaning a structure that you can touch, feel. But in today's environment, because of technology, many times some of us don't even get to see the organization in its physical form. But we do know that the organization itself exists, and all of these activities, the politics, the power, all of it exists within the organization, whether it's virtual or face-to-face. Now let's continue with organization design. This is the process of forming and modifying an organization's structure, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, in the best way to accomplish the goals and objectives. The organizational design creates the best structure for the purpose, the strategy, and the environment associated with the organization. The organizational structure is an arrangement of people and work toward accomplishing the organizational goals. And so it is very much like positioning people in the best way to be able to accomplish the goals that were set forth during the strategic planning portion of your organization. And so we've been talking about organization structure and organizational design. I mentioned, I keep repeating the organization. So what is an organization? An organization is a collection of people working together for a common purpose. Organizing a collection of people into a desired structure requires managers or leaders to know the direction of the company. In other words, the leader or manager must know the company's mission. And if you recall, perhaps in an earlier course, a mission is the purpose, why a company exists, your reason for being. When we discuss the organizational culture, there are several types of culture. In other words, a structure. There are several ways that an organization can be structured or formed. The organizational structure collects departments with jobs within the organization. This forms departmentalization, which means it divides work into departments. Departments can be divided in several ways. One of those ways is a functional structure. As I said, it is a way to group like like people, like skills, like products together to be effective in accomplishing the organization's goal. Now, in functional departmentalization, groups of people are collected or grouped together in areas of their expertise. For example, all accounting, all accountants might be grouped together to form the accounting department or the engineering department, or as you can see on your screen, we have personal banking, business banking, which however an organization chooses, they will group like skills to create functional structure. Another way that organizations are departmentalized is through a product structure. Now, this type of departmentalization groups people according to product line or service. Now, an excellent example of this may be your Verizon or your, let's say your AT&T. If you have a mobile device, you know that these conglomerates have different kinds of devices. You may have an iPhone, or you may have a Droid, or you may have any number of devices. Now, for a product structure, these companies may divide, departmentalize, um, departmentalization within their structure according to the type of device is sold within that organization. And then we have a matrix structure. Now, many people find a matrix structure a little difficult to understand, but this type of structure is based upon usually a temporary assignment. It's considered effective, it's considered efficient, it's considered a flexible way to group individuals where you might have a short-term goal or objective to satisfy. Now let's get an example. Let's say that you are within the sales and marketing department. Now, as a member of the sales and marketing department, you are a team member, you've worked there X number of months or years, but then let's say you have a special tasking and your leader decides to send you to purchasing for a short period of time, because purchasing can use your expertise on a special project. Now, you are still assigned to sales and marketing, but you're kind of loaned out, if you will, to purchasing. This creates the matrix structure. Now, the problem with matrix structure, the negative side to matrix structure, is that when this happens, employees are sometimes put in an awkward position because they're answering to two bosses, which violates what's called the unity of command. Now, the unity of command states that employees have a right to be able to report to only one boss. It not only makes the employee uncomfortable, your original manager or leader within the sales and marketing department may suffer a little bit of a loss, because now that manager does not have your expertise readily available because you've been loaned out to purchasing. And so while this kind of setup might be uncomfortable, for the overall benefit of the organization, as I said, it is cost effective and it does allow for some flexibility. Your company does not have to go out and hire a new person for the purpose of this temporary tasking, so that there is a reason, a purpose for it. The next type of structure is called a network structure. Now, the network or the virtual organization is very interesting. Of course, 30 years ago, you would not have had such a structure because we were not as technologically astute as we are today. The network structure is a temporary association of different firms with no headquarters or organizational chart, which provides flexibility, combination of resources, and people. And there's a term that you will be familiar with as we continue to talk. It is called the boundaryless organization. And so the network structure would be considered boundaryless because it represents the idea that employees are not limited to a department or a team, but are empowered to work across the horizontal or vertical lines within the organizational structure. They are there to take on whatever tasking wherever they're needed. For example, one example would be if you are technical support and your expertise is needed wherever within the organization, you're going to go wherever you're needed. Whether there is that boundary, okay, that line, say that you taken on the example that we used earlier, you're not restricted to one department like the marketing department. You are available for whatever area needs you. And this is within the network structure. The organizational structure, all of these structures that we've talked about, they fall under the category of what is called the organizational chart. An organizational chart is just a picture, as you see on the screen now. It's a picture or a drawing of the organization's structure. The organizational chart provides information for employees and customers and you can look at these charts and you can answer pretty much your own questions. So let's consider, if you look at this organization chart, let's briefly see what you can conclude using this organizational chart. Today is your first day at a new organization and you have been passed this organizational chart. Based on this chart, there may be a name at the director level. You know that on this chart, the director is the highest position that is within this particular organization. If you will see branched off from the director, the analyst budget and accounting department, the geographic information systems department answer directly to the director. And down the line, the maintenance division, just follow the lines. That's what the organization chart, it provides you a graphic of how that organization is structured through lines and boxes. But now, as we look at the organization chart, we see the formal structure of the organization. Where people go wrong within organization is not knowing the informal structure. So let's take, for example, when you're looking at this organization chart, you see the maintenance division and the engineering division. We see that formally these two divisions go up the chain, up into the director. What we do not see on this chart is that perhaps the leader of the maintenance division is a personal friend of the engineering division. Many times when we join an organization and we're new to the organization, it would benefit us to step back to make sure we understand the informal relationships that are going on within the organization, who's a friend, even who's a relative, before you start making assumptions and making assessments about people. Many times we go wrong in organizations. On the organization chart, we see the line versus staff positions. If you see on this chart, down from the administrative division, you see that there is a clerical position. The clerical and the whole administrative position would be considered staff. A staff position is a position of support. It is an advisory position. Administrative division may be the same as perhaps the human resources department. It is a position, it's an advisory position. All other positions within the organization, the engineering, the geographic information, all of those are considered line positions. Line positions are positions that directly that directly work toward or satisfy the goals of the company. Folks in the line position are responsible for producing whatever goods or services the company have been tasked to complete. Everybody in the clerical, the human resources, the security office, they're all in positions of support. They do not work directly toward producing the goods and services. So that's your line and staff.